Welcome back to Mangastorian's Complete Story Series. Today we're going to be continuing Berserk with chapter 285. When we last left off, Griffith had arrived and everyone pleaded for him to help recover their motherland. The Midland Army rides again. And from the bottom of their hearts, they plead for the assistance and recovery of their motherland. While the royals all begin to question what they should do, Owen tells them that it is not them, her queen's subjects, to question her. No matter how they try to justify it, it is true that these past few years, they've left their homeland. While they are still sitting idling on their hands, the one who delivered their majesty the queen was none other than Lord Griffith and his band of hawks. They, as their royal subjects, obey to thine will. While the crowds try to process this information, Veretico walks forward stating that he would like to speak with Her Highness Charlotte in his lordship. Speaking in such a manner from a lord would indeed be just, if only he were addressing an army from another land who treads upon his native soil. However, this war is not solely Midlands. This has been a holy crusade between their allied nations against the Kushan. While Griffith is that hero, this war was fought by the Holy See. Just then, the horses can be heard as they pull a wagon, stopping just before the gathered group. As the wagon opens, the stairs are placed to allow the passenger to step out, and it is none other than the pontiff himself. He tells everyone God bless them all, and everyone, including Griffith, drop to their knees. As the pontiff looks around, he sees Griffith and kneels before him, before falling flat on the ground. Everyone stares in silence, and Griffith reaches out, telling him to please rise, your holiness. The pontiff gets back up, taking Griffith's hand, trembling at the sight before him. The cardinals ask why is he asking in such a manner, and the pontiff tells him that he believes that he knows this man. They have not met before, but he knows him. As Griffith helps the pontiff back to his feet, he turns to everyone and tells them that for all of those who have gathered here, please heed his word. He has been given divine revelation. This Lord Hawk of Light is their divine savior. Everything will be measured by this man's goodness. He will appear, rendering the black cloud apart with shining wings. And with those words, the crowd stare in awe, and they all begin cheering that their savior has finally come. As Griffith continues to create a foothold in the mainlands, Roderick's ship, the Seahorse, has been sailing for several days out at sea. To pass the time in the long journey, Ishidoro has been sparring with the masked knight, who's really Azan, to hone his swordsmanship. After dodging a whirlwind thrust, Ishidoro swings off one of the ropes and kicks a bucket onto Azan's head. He then throws a basket of cannonballs onto Azan's feet to throw off his balance. Seeing his chance to win, Ishidoro goes for his finishing blow, the Ishidoro Kick! But Azan shifts his staff, hitting Ishidoro in the most sensitive places, getting him stating that it was a close one. Very ballsy. The navigator shouts down that he told them to stop messing around with those cannonballs, but Roderick says, now, it's good entertainment for everyone. One of the sailors tells Azan that it's time for him to get back to work, and Azan shouts that he never asked to come here. It was they who dragged him onto this boat while he was sleeping. Serpico then walks by telling Azan, good work, and he nervously asks, who might you be referring to? And silently he shouts that he's so embarrassed to state that he was kicked out of the Vatican. To think that he would once again be reunited with them at a place like this, God's will, is truly unfathomable. But as Serpico heads down to check on the girls, he knocks on the door, and Evalaria tells him, you can't bother them right now, for her niece is about to make her journey, and no peeking. Serpico looks in, asking, what kind of journey? And Evalaria says, to the other world, of course, and then kicks the door shut. Inside, Shirkei prepares Farnice's body. Farnice says that she was a little nervous about this. Shirkei tells her it's okay, this may be uncharted waters for her, but preparation is everything. She just needs to be more confident. Farnice lays down and Shirkei sits beside her, telling her that she must close her eyes and relax. Calm her breathing and recite the scriptures. Let everything fade away. Farnice closes her eyes and begins quietly saying the scriptures, and as she closes those eyes, her body begins to feel different, weightless, free. Farnice closes one eye, and as she looks down, she sees her body laying in the bed below her. Shirkei floats by, telling her not to panic. This is her body in the astral realm. Farnice begins looking at her hands, and Shirkei goes on stating that this is the fruit of her diligent training. This means that now she has come to the true entrance of the world of magic, and it means that she is now a true magic wielder. Farnice floats down, tugging at Shirkei's physical body, shouting that she's so moved by this. At first, she couldn't believe a single apple would help her connect to the astral realm. Even then, she was sitting on the bench, and she often thought that despite her lack of skills, everyone still came for her. Evalaria then asks, what are you talking about? If you weren't around, who would take care of Casca? Shirkei quickly shushes her and says, actually, I was the exact opposite of you. What was important to me was to be left alone instead of wanting to be needed. To me, humans are barbarous and unclean. They have nothing to do with me and my master. I felt the warmth that people can bring. They're still barbarous and unclean, but they're warm. Shirkei then begins to pull Farnice's hand, stating that they should try to go outside now. And the two float outside of the cabin and up above the ship's sails, and Farnice says that this is amazing. She's truly riding the wind, and what joy and terror could bring them. Down below at the deck, Guts begins to keep silent watch over Casca as she watches the seas. As he tries to focus, his vision begins to fade and he begins to rub his face until they can see again. Above him, Shirkei and Farnice watch, seeing Roderick calling out to Guts. Roderick tells him that he should be inside resting. The sea winds will still affect his wounds. And as Guts stands there, Roderick notices him watching Casca and sees her running around trying to catch a seagull. Roderick says, why not get a little closer? But Guts doesn't answer. And then he asks, what does the girl mean to him anyway? Could she be his lover? Guts doesn't answer, and as Casca looks back up at them, she puffs her cheeks out and turns away. Guts begins talking, stating that Casca was his, and suddenly a bright light flashes, and Farnice opens up her eyes and finds herself back in the cabin. Shirkei asks if she's alright, and Farnice asks why did they suddenly return to their bodies. Shirkei looks at her and nervously looks away without saying anything. Back outside, Casca begins climbing to the bow of the ship over the water, and Guts rushes over to pull her back. Guts calls out to her, holding out his arm, telling her to come back, and Casca continues to inch away. She then looks back and lets go to get away from him, but Guts thrusts his fake arm down to catch her. He grabs a hold of her in a brief second, and his bandages unravel and she loses her grip. Casca begins to fall into the waters down below, and without a second thought, Guts dives in. He quickly swims to grab her, but as he does, he begins to think how this is just like before. The two surface, and as Casca flails, he shouts for her to quit struggling. A few moments later, Roderick and the other sailors take a lifeboat out to get the two of them, and as Guts helps push Casca up, he begins to sink. He's pulled down into the depths by his metal arm, and he thinks back to how he would often be around the water side to make sure that nothing bad would ever happen to Casca, all part of memories and days long past. He opens up his eyes and everyone shouts, asking if he's alright. Shirkei says that Roderick jumped in to save him, and Roderick laughs, stating that just paying back what he was owed, huh? Guts jumps up from his bed asking for Casca, but Shirkei tells him to stop or he'll hurt himself more. And Casca is still alive. Farnice is bathing her as we speak. Guts then lays down, letting out a sigh of relief, and Shirkei tells everyone that they should get going. She needs to redraw the seal that washes away. As Shirkei motions for Guts to sit up, he does and looks over to see his fake arm sitting on the chair. He thinks to Casca falling out of his reach, and then he looks at where his arm used to be. And he says that he had almost forgotten that that thing was just a clump of iron. Even with it, she can so easily slip away. Even if they painstakingly piece back together something that was lost, sometimes it doesn't mean that it'll go back to being normal. And that is what we're going to leave Berserk today. A little bit of a bridging episode, just not very much happening. They're off on their journeys, everyone's going to their various places, but I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to get your dose of Berserk next Friday right here at Manga Storian.